Hi everyone, today I will explain about Ahriman or Angra Mainyu. Ahriman is the evil spirit in early Iranian religion, Zoroastrianism, and Zorvanism, lord of darkness and chaos, and the source of human confusion, disappointment, and strife. He is also known as Angra Mainyu, evil spirit or dark spirit, and exists in opposition to Spenta Mainyu, good spirit or bright spirit, also known as Ahura Mazda and Ormuzd. In the early polytheistic Persian religion, Ahura Mazda was the king of the gods and creator of the world, and Angra Mainyu/Ahriman, lord of the legions of demons, his opponent. After the reforms of Zoroaster, resulting in the monotheistic religion of Zoroastrianism, Ahura Mazda became the one true God, and all the other deities emanations and avatars of his power, but Ahriman remained the source and embodiment of evil. Zoroastrianism replaced the earlier belief system and was adopted by the Achaemenid Empire. At some point late in the empire's history, or much earlier, according to some scholars, the question arose as to how Ahriman, and therefore evil, could exist in a world created by an all-good, all-powerful divine being. This question was answered by Zorvanism, often referred to as a heretical sect of Zoroastrianism, which made Zorvan, a minor god of time in early Iranian religion, the supreme being and lord of infinite time. Zorvan gave birth to both Ahura Mazda and Ahriman and, therefore, Ahura Mazda was not responsible for evil. Evil was the result of Ahriman's own choice to pursue the opposite of ultimate good. The figure of Ahriman, adversary of the divine good and instigator of strife, is thought to have influenced the creation of similar supernatural entities in later religions such as Satan in Judaism, the devil in Christianity, and Iblis in Islam. Early appearance and character. Early Iranian religion developed in the region known as Greater Iran, the Caucasus, Central Asia, South Asia, and West Asia prior to the 3rd millennium BCE, when one branch of a migratory people, known as Aryans meaning noble or free, settled in the land of the Aryans, Iran. Their religion was polytheistic and was kept through oral tradition, passed down generation to generation through stories, rituals, and traditions. This belief system was reformed by the prophet Zoroaster, who reimagined the earlier gods and created a new religion, Zoroastrianism, which was monotheistic. This faith also maintained an oral tradition which was not committed to writing until the time of the Sasanian Empire, and most of what is known of the early Iranian religion comes from Zoroastrian texts such as the Avesta, the Bundahizn, the Denkard, and the Vendidad, which reference the earlier gods and the stories, now known as ancient Persian mythology, of how the world, humans, and the gods came to be, as well as the Shahnameh, Book of Kings, a collection of legends and myths, and other works. Ahriman appears in the Zoroastrian texts without introduction, as though an audience should already be familiar with him, no doubt a carryover from the earlier oral tradition. He, therefore, has no origin story or development and appears for the first time as fully developed as he will ever become. Scholar John R. Hinnels describes Ahriman's nature. He is the demon of demons, and dwells in an abyss of endless darkness in the north, the traditional home of the demons. Ignorance, harmfulness, and disorder are the characteristics of Ahriman. He can change his outward form and appear as a lizard, a snake, or a youth. His aim is always to destroy the creation of Ahura Mazda, and to this end he follows behind the creator's work, seeking to spoil it. As Ahura Mazda creates life, Ahriman creates death. For health, he produces disease. For beauty, ugliness. All man's ills are due entirely to Ahriman. The early religion maintained that the world was created by Ahura Mazda in 7 steps. Sky. water, earth, plants, animals, human beings, fire. Sky was an orb into which Ahura Mazda poured water and then separated the waters with earth and spread vegetation across the land. He then created Gavevata, the primordial bull, also given as the uniquely created bull primordial bovine, and primordial ox, who was so beautiful that Ahriman killed it. Ahriman did not kill Gavevata for any particular reason. He did it simply because he wanted to and because he could. This event characterizes all of Ahriman's subsequent actions, as does Ahura Mazda's response. Ahura Mazda carried the corpse of Gavevata to the moon, where it was purified, and from the purified seed all animals were created. Ahura Mazda had thereby turned Ahriman's act of evil toward a positive end. Ahura Mazda then created the first man, Geomartin, also given as Geomard, Kiamars, who is also beautiful and quickly killed by Ahriman. The sun purifies the seed of Geomartin and, after 40 years, a rhubarb plant grows from it to birth the first couple, Mashya and Mashianag. They live in harmony with the earth, animals, and their creator until Ahriman appears and whispers lies to them, telling them he is their creator and Ahura Mazda the deceiver and their enemy. The couple believe these lies, and so sin enters the world through their doubt, and their harmony with animals and each other is lost. They cannot even conceive a child for many years after their fall, and when Mashianag finally does give birth, they eat the children because they have lost all recognition of reason. They eventually give birth to twins who go on to populate the earth, but Ahriman's lies have corrupted the earlier paradise, and humans will now live in strife, at odds with animals and each other. After the birth of Geomartin, Ahura Mazda had made fire as his last aspect of creation, but, with Ahriman's interference and the fallen nature of humanity, gods now had to be created to help people through life and, especially, aid them in making the pivotal choice between deciding to follow the path of Ahura Mazda or that of Ahriman, as this choice would define each person's life on earth and after death. The problem of evil in Zorvanism. The problem of evil was, in fact, more difficult to resolve now in the monotheistic paradigm, because Ahura Mazda was the first and uncreated being in the universe from which all else had come. If this were so, then evil should not exist, and yet human experience contradicted this, so Ahura Mazda could not be the creator of a world which included evil. This problem was addressed by the so-called heresy of Zorvanism, which made Zorvan, a minor deity of time in early Iranian religion, the supreme being and god of infinite time. Zorvan, the uncreated creative principle in the universe, wished to have a child and so prayed to himself for progeny. As he was doing this, he experienced a moment of doubt whether his desire was a good one, and, in this moment, Ahriman was engendered, and then, once it had passed, Ahura Mazda. Ahriman cut his way out of the primordial womb before it was time for his birth, knowing that the firstborn would have dominion over the world, but Zorvan placed a limit of time on his reign, 9,000 years, after which Ahura Mazda would defeat him and take his place. Ahura Mazda was still responsible for the creation of the world and everything in it, but evil came from that moment of Zorvan's doubt and his own impulse toward creation. Zorvanism thus solved the problem of evil, and Ahura Mazda could still be the all-powerful and all-good creator, but this solution contradicted the central premise of Zoroastrianism, the preeminence of human free will. If time was the all-powerful first principle, then one's choices were irrelevant, because time created all things, moved all things, destroyed all things, and there was nothing one could do about that. Whether one made choice A or choice B, one was still subject to time. With time as the ultimate power in the universe, and Ahura Mazda as a created being, Supplications to him could not have the final effect they had in Zoroastrian belief because now there was a power greater than Ahura Mazda.